Aviv, our senior international affairs correspondent Owen Alterman joins me. Owen, here we've been hearing from Hassan the Indian perspective and the Pakistani perspective, but you're bringing us an Israeli perspective on this story. What can you tell us?
That's right, Tracy, I am. I mean, first of all, let's get some of the facts out of the way. There are some reports in Indian media, for example, that Israeli-made missiles and bombs were used in these attacks, again, by the Indian military. We should say, of course, India, one of the main clients for Israeli arms worldwide, the biggest client in the world, so that wouldn't be too surprising. Of course, would put Israel in the middle of this in a bit. But I actually don't think that that's the most interesting Israeli perspective on this story. You know, Tracy, yesterday, I was interviewed at an Indian television station, and it was absolutely fascinating to hear the conversation in the studio from the other guests. What did I hear? So many things that were familiar from this part of the world. Let's listen to not the comments from that studio, but some of the comments we've been hearing from Indian and Pakistani officials that help to make the point. First, from a foreign ministry spokesperson in India today.
India had informed about counter-terrorism action it took yesterday against a terrorist training camp of Jaish-e-Mohammed in Pakistan, based on credible evidence that Jaish-e-Mohammed intended to launch more attacks.
Tracy, how many times did we hear the word terrorism there, the word counterterrorism? Again, a page out of the Israeli playbook. India trying to make the case to the international community that it was responding to a terrorist attack, that as it sees it, on its own soil just a few weeks ago. The Indians counting the 58 countries that have come out and condemned that terror attack. And on that broadcast I was on yesterday, what were the guests doing? Taking a microscope to look at how countries around the world were reacting to India's airstrikes, so similar to what we in Israel do every time that we see in Israel. You're nodding your head because you're so familiar with this, a conflict in Gaza or across Israel's border in Syria, looking at the international reaction and how much sympathy Israel is getting.
Right.
As for the Pakistani side, let's hear a comment from a former Pakistani foreign minister on the escalation of the last few days.
Pakistan is a member state of OIC. A member state of the OIC has been aggressed by its neighbor, a neighbor which is many, many, many times larger than it. Is it not impinging upon all OIC member states to stand by the country which has been aggressed?
Tracy, the OIC is the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. That's the club of the world's Muslim majority countries. Pakistan calling for support from the Muslim world. Again, a pattern so familiar to those of us here in Israel. You know, yesterday in the Indian television studio, they were talking about Pakistan potentially convening the UN Security Council. Why? Because Pakistan wants to internationalize this issue. Why? Because, as we just heard in that clip, as against India, Pakistan feels it's the weaker party, but on the international stage, Pakistan feels that it can get much, much more support. Here, a reference to the Muslim world and trying to mobilize the Muslim world to come out in support of Pakistan. Again, Tracy, so similar to the patterns here in the Middle East and the Israeli-Arab conflict.
Now, there are many calls for restraint from the international community. We heard the UK coming out very vehemently calling for calm on both sides. Which countries, though, are the most concerned about an escalation here?
Tracy, you're absolutely right. That's the refrain. The refrain is the word restraint, also familiar to those of us here in Israel from the Israeli-Palestinian and the Arab-Israeli conflict. That's the byword. And again, that's what we're hearing from the European Union. That's what we're hearing from British Prime Minister Theresa May. And maybe most importantly, in this arena, that is what we are hearing from the Chinese Foreign Ministry. Why is China so important? First of all, China is an important country in general, but in this part of the world, specifically China, very, very important. China has a historical alliance with Pakistan as a way of balancing India, these two Asian giants. And in fact, Pakistan is a main corridor for the Belt and Road Initiative, that huge set of infrastructure projects that China is moving forward around the world. In fact, has something called the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. In fact, maybe let's hear from the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson. Okay, we'll talk about the Chinese-Pakistan Economic Corridor and what China is doing there. And so China has been expected maybe to take Pakistan's side, but in this case, not doing it, calling on both sides to exercise restraint. Again, China, like everyone else, making sure that they don't want to see a war, again, as we heard from our guests, between two countries that each has nuclear weapons.
All right, we do now have that soundbite. Let's take a listen to that.
Pakistan and India are two important countries in South Asia. Maintaining good relations and communication between the two sides is conducive to regional peace and stability, and it is fundamentally in line with the interests of both India and Pakistan. China hopes the two sides could exercise restraint and take measures to stabilize the regional situation and improve bilateral ties instead of doing the opposite.
So there you go, Tracy. Restraint even from a country that might have been expected to take Pakistan's side, showing just how high the stakes are. Again, these two giant countries, each with nuclear weapons.
How wide does the lens go, though, here? When Israel looks at a potential escalation between India and Pakistan, is it concerned, as of course we're seeing these diplomatic relations between Israel and India get even closer?
Well, look, I don't know that Israel has a direct stake in this, but of course, India, a very, very important country for Israel. And by the way, Tracy, we should say, there have been some noises coming out of Pakistan in the past few weeks about potentially upgrading Pakistan's relations with Israel. That would obviously be big news. Again, contingent on political progress in Israeli-Palestinian talks. But I don't need to remind you that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was recently in Pakistan. Of course, all we've seen in the advance between Israeli and Saudi ties, maybe there's something there too.